Hello students, in this video we will learn about looping statements in C. There are basically two types of looping statements, that is while loop and for loop. Do while is a variant of while loop. Both while as well as for loop have the same flow chart. That is, there will be an initialization stage at the beginning where a variable called index will be initialized to some value. This value will be checked against some condition. If the condition results into true, then the code block inside the loop will be executed. After that, the index will be updated to the next value, whether it is decremented or incremented, depends on the code you have written. After the updation of the value, the index value will be checked against the condition again. If again the value results into true, then the code block inside the loop will execute. After that, the updation takes place. Again, the condition is evaluated. This process continues until the condition results into false. Once it is false, the control moves out of the loop where the next instruction outside the loop will be executed. Now you might have understood where these looping constructs are used. Exactly. It is used where we may have to execute a block of code repetitively until some condition is met. Once the condition fails, the execution of the loop will be skipped and the next statement after the loop will execute. So this is the syntax of while loop. So as we have seen in the flow chart, the initialization takes place. Later on, using the while keyword, test expression is evaluated, which may result into true or false. Once it is true, code block will execute and then updation takes place, or else the execution continues from the statement outside the while loop. This can be stated using an example. Here the initialization is done to 0. See, a variable, a index variable is created and initialized to 0. After that, it is checked against the condition. While I is less than 3, the value of I is 0. So, if 0 is less than 3, then the loop will continue executing. Yes, it is true. As we know, 0 is always less than 3. That's why it enters into the loop and it prints the value of I, that is 0. After that, I will be incremented to the next value, that is 1. So, the new value of I is 1 now. Since the condition is still true, is 1 less than 3? True. So, next value of I is 1, that printed in the console, and then the execution continues to the updation stage where value of I is updated to 2. You might be noticing here 2. Now, the new value of I is checked against 3. That is whether 2 is less than 3. Yes, true. Hence, the value of I, that is 2, will be printed in the console. Later on, I is updated to the newer value, that is 3. Yes. So, now we have to check back the condition again. Is 3 less than 3? No, because 3 is equal to 3, right? But here we are checking whether 3 is less than 3, obviously it's a false condition. So once it is false, the execution moves to the next statement outside the loop. The loop will be broken. Next is the syntax of do while loop. You might be noticing there is a still initialization step at the beginning as it was there in the while loop. So here at the beginning, do keyword is used. Do and while make a group of statements, code block. So at the do, no condition is evaluated, so sequentially the execution moves to code block. Once it is executed, the updation takes place. After this only the while expression is evaluated. That means even if the expression results into false, the code block that has been executed cannot be reversed back. So do while can be used in situations where we may have to execute the block of code at least once, irrespective of whether the expression results into true or false. That is, even if always this expression results into false, this code block will execute once, because we will be checking the value at the exit level. This sequence of code has been executed, so we cannot reverse it back. So even if this condition is false, the execution is done once. So that's why do while loop is called as exit controlled loop, whereas while and for loop are called as entry controlled loop, where we will be checking or evaluating the condition at the entry of the loop itself. So dependent on the situations or the scenario, you may go for any of these three loops. So an example of do while is, at the beginning I is initialized to 10. At this particular line of code, no changes takes place. Value of I is printed here, that is 10. After this I is incremented to 11. Now the condition is evaluated. Is 11 less than 5? False. Hence the loop is broken. We continue from the next statement outside the loop. But at the console we have already printed 10, so we cannot reverse it back. So here the condition is false, but still we have executed the loop once. As I said, while and for have the same flow of data. That is because all the stages of while is carried out exactly the same way in for also. But only difference is that for statement has a compact coding. That is, all these previous three steps have been combined into a single statement. So now we can judge that where compact coding is needed, we can go for loop, or else we can go to while. The arrow mark shows the way of execution. At the beginning, initialization is done once per loop. So initialization done, after that test expression is evaluated. If this one results into true, the control enters inside the for loop. That is, the code block inside the for loop will be executed. From the second iteration onwards, initialization is not done. Instead, updation of the statement takes place and then checked against the test expression. If this one results into true, then the code block will execute, or else it moves outside the loop. So there might be some situations where we do not achieve the exact results that we are hoping for using these loops. So such situation will be seen in the next session. I have not given any example for statement. That is because it's exactly same as that of the while loop. But if you still want to see the differences between them, we will discuss them in the next session. I hope this session was useful to you. Thank you.